If they can't, perhaps I can give you some background that they may not know about. So, can we have questions from the audience?
I was wondering if you named your planes, and what did you name them?
They didn't get the question.
Did you name the aircraft?
Did they name the aircraft? The make. No, no names. Oh, all right, they were there, not me. I said, wait a minute. What names did you put on them?
I didn't, but some people did. And old Greening painted pictures on a couple of them. And several clowns had names for them, but there weren't any official. Okay.
Okay, they were there, not me.
For those who did bail out, even though you were prepared and warned that you might have to do this, what was it like to actually move and jump out at night in the bad weather over unknown territory?
Well, each of them bailed out, so we have 5 separate stories here.
That's pretty simple. They're scared as hell. I guess you could amplify, but that's as scared as you can get. But,
I can say ditto.
As you know, some people attempted to land in the water, and that didn't work out very well. Tried the beach, and that didn't work. But most people, and one of these guys landed in a rice paddy and got away with it in the dark and stormy night. But most of the people did like I did, went out that hatch in the black. That's enough.
Well, Ed, how about your experience? Now, Ed was a gunner, engineer gunner on his airplane in the back of the aircraft. So, Ed, explain your escape from the aircraft.
The engineer gunner was the only member back in the tail of the aircraft at the time of the bomb run. I took care of the fuel tanks, emptied the fuel tanks, and started to run across the China Sea, hit the China coast, bailed out, landed without a lot of trouble. Not too bad.
You weren't scared, huh? You weren't afraid?
Oh, no, well, I was a little anxious maybe, but not really afraid.
Well, Bill Bauer had his own escape to talk about from the aircraft.
Well, he has me speechless. I don't know what it is. What is it?
You went out the front hatch.
Well, I went out. I was up front, and so I just gathered the other crew members up in the little alcove in the back of the airplane, and we flew for hours until we finally got over China. We knew we were over China. We knew we were over something because it didn't look like an ocean. And it was in the middle of the night. And so I just think I said, let's get out of here. And I pulled the hatch, and one by one they jumped out. And there I was all by myself, and the engines quit. So I just followed them out the hatch and landed on top of a sort of a hill. There was a tree right next to it, so I wrapped up my parachute, got under the tree, and went to sleep. And when dawn came, I was happy to see that I'd stayed where I was, because about 20 or 30 feet in front of me was a cliff that went down 300-400 feet. But I climbed off the mountain and got down to the bottom, not having any idea where I was or what I was going to do. walked along a path in a kind of green, pretty country, and all of a sudden I met a man who had an odd hat on, Chinese type hat, and he came up to me, looked at me, and he smiled. And somebody said the Japanese won't smile, but the Chinaman will. So he had smiled, and I felt I was in good hands, and I was. They took me into their house, and it was kind of odoriferous. It didn't smell like one of our homes. And in one corner would be a little bucket type affair that they all sat on and did what you do when you sit on something. On the other, in a similar type of thing, they had food. They were so kind. They fed us rice and whatever else it was. It wasn't much to eat. And took care of us, and I say us because my crew came in over the period of a few hours. They gathered them up and brought them in. And then the Chinese took us to a central point, and the people took care of us, got us on a train. The Japanese then harassed us all the way out of, as long as we're on that train, the Japs would come over and strafe it, and we'd get off the train and watch them strafe it and get back on. It was sort of a comedy thing, really, as far as the war is concerned. And got me and my whole crew safely into northern India, New Delhi, northern New Delhi. From then I came on home and just summarize this whole thing. Wasn't long before I found out that Jimmy Doolittle, then been promoted, had been selected to go to England and start the war down in Africa. So I joined him and spent the rest of the war was the 12th Air Force in Africa. Of course, Jim Doolittle went on up to England, ran the whole show on the invasion of the continent. But it was quite a pleasure to be able to follow him out of Africa and then back into Africa. Yeah.
Tom was the navigator on his aircraft, and he also had to bail out. Tom, your experience.
Okay. I was, as they say, the navigator on plane number 9, and it just happened that we got farther inland into China before we ran out of gas. Going across the China Sea, the storm became much worse as we proceeded towards China. And when we got to where we figured it was nighttime now, and we couldn't see much in that storm. And I think we did what most of the other 14 planes did. We pulled up to 10,000 feet, so we'd missed the mountains in that part of China, and just proceeded westward into China till we ran out of gas. We were 300 miles inland. And that experience of bailing out at 10,000 feet in a storm is quite an experience. So I'll tell you what it is in case any of you ever have that come to you where you have to bail out at 10,000 feet. You'll know what to do.
You did it again.
Yeah, I did it again. I bailed out, pulled my ripcord, and the tremendous currents you have in a big storm like that just threw me all over the sky. This happened to all of the fellas that pulled up and bailed out. My story is the same as theirs. And my chute would collapse sometimes, and then it would go over the other side and fill up with air and collapse again. I thought I might be losing all of my air, and I was for a while.